Find the derivative of g of t equals 8 cosecant t minus 3 tangent t minus 2, then evaluate g prime of pi over 3. G of t here is made up of 3 terms combined by subtraction, 8 cosecant t minus 3 tangent t minus 2. We can therefore take the derivative of each of those terms separately and combine the results by subtraction. The derivative g prime of t will equal 8 times the derivative of cosecant of t, which is negative cosecant t cotangent t, times that 8 will give us a negative 8 cosecant t cotangent t, minus 3 times the derivative of tangent t, which is secant squared of t, times the negative 3, will be negative 3 secant squared of t. And then the derivative of negative 2 with no t's, a constant, will be a derivative of 0. So there's our derivative g prime of t. The next thing to do is evaluate g prime of pi over 3. G prime of pi over 3 means to plug in a pi over 3 for each of the t's. So that will give us negative 8 cosecant pi over 3 cotangent pi over 3 minus 3 secant squared of pi over 3. I'm going to rewrite the first term exactly as we see it. And then the second term, negative 3 secant squared of pi over 3, means to evaluate the secant first and then square the result. I'll write it that way to remind us how to evaluate it. So we have negative 8 times cosecant of pi over 3. Cosecant is 1 over sine, 1 over the sine of pi over 3, which is 1 over root 3 over 2, times the cotangent of pi over 3, which is the cosine of pi over 3, 1/2 over the sine of pi over 3, root 3 over 2, minus 3 times the secant of pi over 3, and then squared. The secant of pi over 3 is 1 over the cosine of pi over 3, 1 over 1/2, and then quantity squared. So we've evaluated each of the trig functions. The next step is to take each of those fractions that are in parentheses, reciprocate the denominators, multiply with the numerators. So we'll have negative 8 times 2 over root 3 times 1, which is just 2 over root 3. 2 over root 3 times 1/2. The 2's can cancel from the numerator and denominator. And then minus 3 times 2 over 1 times 1, which is a 2, and then squared. So this gives us negative 8 times 2 over root 3 times 1 over root 3. And then minus 3 times 2 squared, which is a 4. We can multiply all the numerators. Negative 8 times 2, which is negative 16, times 1 is just negative 16. And then root 3 times root 3 is a 3. And then negative 3 times 4 is a negative 12. The next step is to put these over a common denominator so we can combine it to a single expression. Let's multiply that 12 by a 3 over 3. We will have negative 16 over 3 minus 36 over 3, which combines to give us negative 52 over 3.